This episode is brought to you by Standard Deviant Brewing. The good folks who've been making the coldest tasting beer in SF since 2016 want you to join them at their mission location a week from today, September 25th, for an Oktoberfest celebration. There'll be big beers, big brats, and a big band. That's also my birthday, and I can't think of a better way to celebrate. Even if beer isn't your thing, I'm guessing that good times and community are. And Standard Deviant has all of the above covered for you. Follow them on social media at Standard Deviant Brewing.
The theme really got to me. I pulled out some work from my archive where I had people. I don't traditionally do people, but on closer look, I do have people in my work, and they are every kinds of people. And one of the paintings that I'm showing in this show is of my friend Ashkan on Ocean Avenue, right outside Plymouth and Ocean, which is right by Ocean Ale House. And he was one of my first friends in the neighborhood, and he was the best kind of people that I know.
That was Shrey Purohit, one of 12 artists in Every Kind of People, our art show currently up at Minibar. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco, a podcast about artists, activists, and working people who make this city so special. Welcome to part 2 of my episode with Shrey. If you missed part 1, please go back and listen to that. In this episode, Shrey talks about his move from Mumbai to San Francisco and the myriad things he's been up to since he arrived. The group show Shrey is in, Every Kind of People, is up at Minibar through October 19. Drop by, grab a drink, chat with friends, and browse some really cool art by a diverse range of folks. Okay, here's the conclusion of my conversation with Shrey Purohit. Nice. So, would you call it a no-brainer, or was it like...
It was an uphill battle. It was an uphill battle to get my parents to fund it and support it and allow me to go there. But my mom, being the staunchest supporter of me, believed in me and knew I could do it, even though it was an uphill battle. And so grateful for her.
And what year did you come over to go to school?
2018.
18. Okay. Ooh.
Felt like a burning building.
Yeah. Wow. Tell us about arriving.
San Francisco, such a beacon of hope. Even then, even now, was such a counterculture towards the mainstream culture. And I put my head down, went to school, did the things I had to do, was always vocally and intrinsically watching the news. I'm always watching the news. I always, even though I'm in my studio here, I want to know what's happening here in the country and around the world. Because if I do not know what's happening, I don't have a reason to complain. And if I don't have a reason, or I'm not educated enough to educate my peers, because my peers didn't want to care about it, especially the Americans. The Americans just wanted to do their own thing, and I appreciated how much they wanted to be in their bubble. But I, as a foreigner, having my ancestral lineage of, fighting off the British, you got to know what they're doing, because you can't do anything without that. You can't be in the darkness. So was always in that and tried to do political comics and political illustration. Never found much success monetarily. Never got a New York Times editorial like my peers did. And in 2020, when the pandemic happened, I took a class right before the pandemic. It was a painting class with this Professor Brian Keith Thomas, who's an amazing Bay Area artist. And he bestowed upon me that I need to be a painter. And then the pandemic hit, and his words rung with me every day. And when the first stimulus payments hit, I went and bought myself a really nice easel and decided that I'm going to go paint out there every day.
Still a student?
Still a student.
Still in school?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That I wanted to do this, and at the end of 2020, I had a good body of work, such that once I joined 2021, my plein air practice was booming. that I was getting plein air commissions and painting commissions about 1 month into graduating. And that slow progress of having my Instagram practice, just posting and making art and sharing it, and having people communicate and resonate with my art, allowed me to just jump into landscape painting and be a full-time artist. And
For folks who don't know what plein air is, can you explain?
yeah, plein air is a French term that came about in, I believe, the end of the 18th century, when it became so easy that you could take paints outside of the studio, and easels were more modular, that the French Impressionists are credited with the term plein air, where they would just go outside and paint. And I'll continue that same tradition where you take your paints outside and try to document things outside, which might be a very like common practice right now, but for so long it was not. And it's in human history, it's only the last 200, 150 years where plein air painting has been done.
Right. And it's something that I feel like a lot of people listening they know what that is. They see it. It happens here. Thank you to the mild climate that we have, but might not have a name for it.
Yeah, it's a very, one of the few French terms I use, and it's really rooted in that practice. And plein air is just being outside.
Yes. Okay. So you're saying it was about 2020, 2021 that you kind of like fell into your groove of painting, and you've run with it.
I've run with
4 or
it.
5 years. We're currently recording in your studio, and I'm like, yeah, I see paintings everywhere. So, dude's a painter. But you do other stuff around art. So, let's talk about your day job.
Yeah,
Let's talk about your day job.
4 times out of the week, my day job, and I work for Artspan, which is an arts nonprofit that supports about 1,000 artists in the city and the Bay Area, with opportunities from exhibitions to workshops to open studios, which is our longest running program for the last 51 years, and that's what we've been rooted in. And that came about in Soma in 1975, where artists got together and said, the galleries are not giving us attention. How do we build our own community to find the collectors and divert this gatekeeping that the galleries have? And artists in a studio building, because Soma used to have immense studio buildings
Correct.
at that point of time, said, we will bring artists together. We will find a way to bring collectors. We'll bring it under this name of San Francisco Open Studios. And slowly, from the first year to now, we've risen to, at its peak, having about 700 to 800 artists participate in it.
Amazing.
This year, we have about 600 artists participating. It begins in September 19th to October 19th, 5 weekends. Every weekend, every part of the city is split up into different quadrants. And during those 5 weeks, you can go to different parts of the city and see artists in neighborhoods.
Usually in their studio.
In their studio, yeah.
Yeah. I know I moved here 25 years ago and probably learned about open studios in that first or second year. And it just like added to, for me, like, this fucking city is the best. And that program, 25 years before that and 25 years since, it's like still going. It's wonderful.
Yeah, still going, and rooted, all of us that work at Artspan are artists and really dedicated to the mission of supporting other artists besides our own practice. I manage the Arts in Neighborhoods program, and we curate shows in unconventional spots. We've been curating shows at Mission Bowling Club for the last 10 years.
Yes. Shout out to Molly Bradshaw. Yeah.
Shout out to
And
Mission
the whole
Bowling
team.
Club and
the whole team.
Jared
Yes.
and all the folks there. We've done shows throughout, I believe, 40 other venues. Last year we did a show at the Ferry Building, and that was the highlight of this past year.
Yes.
In June, we had a pop-up at the Ferry Building, and we were able to spotlight 5 amazing artists at the Ferry Building, which is the most San Franciscan thing that can be, a building for the ferries with the clock tower. And I am so grateful that Artspan has this program, because that's how I got my first art show out of art school.
Oh, okay.
At a small cafe shop in Kumaika, in the Excelsior, called Kumaika. And it was so surprising to me that this thing that I applied to, they invited me to come and show my work, and I got so many other opportunities from that. And in my entrepreneurial spirit, saw that, oh, you just have to find a cafe owner. If their walls are good, you can invite artists to show work in there. And if you lightly manage it and do a reception, things can be moving.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the pandemic in 2021, galleries had their own practice. They were barely surviving because
Right.
they had to pay rent for everything throughout all of it and payroll. So they probably did not have scope to bring in new artists, support new artists, answer dumb questions that I needed them to answer, which any emerging artist needs. So programs like Art in Neighborhoods and what I began as an Ingleside Gallery pop-up, which turned into the Ingleside Gallery, where I brought 27 of my artist friends and decided that they deserve an highlight, and took an abandoned storefront that used to be a former medical
Gonna
center
ask, yeah.
and programmed it with work with 27 artists and sold about $10,000 worth of work that first weekend,
Oh, wow. Amazing. Congrats. Shit.
which to me was like I hadn't sold anything above $1,000 for myself,
Right.
but in solidarity I was able to help my artist friends, myself. They were all rooted in their practices, trying to string along their day jobs, and here I could come in and help them. And I thought how important it is to be the arts administrator, because someone has to do that work, and someone has to go through the Excel sheet, someone has to do the marketing, and how important it is to do that, even in the darkness, even in the silence. It's so important.
Totally. Can we talk about how our lives intersected, which was out on Ocean Avenue? I met you. So a guest of the show, Ellen Lowe from Ask Me SF, we had recorded, and Ellen had told me that she wanted one of my hoodies. And I was like, how about, this day, this day, this day, this day. And she's like, I'll be painting a mural on Ocean Avenue on da day. And so, yeah, cool. So I went out there and y'all were painting a mural. Do you want to talk about how you know Ellen and
Yeah.
or what y'all were doing that day?
Yeah.
I thought it was really fucking cool.
We were painting a community mural that was funded by the Ocean Avenue Association on this electric
PG&E.
PG&E utility
Substation.
substation
Yes.
wall that was constantly tagged, that used to have a 1 a.m. SF mural and 1 a.m. SF are San Francisco mural giants. And I hated that it would constantly be tagged and they were unable to fix it. And Ellen and I came up with the idea and proposed it to the Ocean Avenue Association, who've been so supportive to my journey and Ellen's. I met Ellen when Ocean Avenue Association collaborated with Artspan to run their Ocean Avenue Art Walk, where they paid artists to make murals on Ocean Avenue. And that's the mural that she did of Miles that's at Ocean Hill House.
Right.
Came about from that funding. And Ellen stood out to me from that cohort, and we became friends on Instagram and in person. And when this idea came about, I decided that I can't do it by myself. I really need help, and I don't want to do it all by myself. So we collaborated on the design, and we decided that we wanted to involve the community to paint it. And we had a certain time earlier this year where we both had free time to really do this, and we jumped in, invited community members. We had about 15 people come out and paint with us, all the way from moms, journalists, even the local beat cop, who's a friend of mine, came about and was painting and brushing paint around.
What about any dogs on leash? Did they join in? Oh, there's a joke there, lifting the leg.
My friend Kate Tova's dog is really famous Instagram painter. So
Oh, excellent.
You're laughing at dogs right now, but they're pretty good painters.
No, I'm laughing in awe. I'm a big dog person, and I'm like, both of my dogs they do their art. They have ways of expressing.
Yeah, you're out there collecting it
sure.
in bags.
Correct. Yeah. Sell it to the highest bidder. Okay. So that's how our lives intersected.
It was really nice to hear Ellen's episode and how you connected the neighborhood and community. And I'm so grateful you invited to learn more about my practice and invited me to show with you
For
in
sure.
the show that you've curated.
Let's talk about that. So this episode will come out while the show spans, I think it's like 8 or 9 weeks. It'll come out after our opening night, which of course was awesome. Let's talk about how awesome that was. We really packed the house. No, but the show. So I'll just say from my point of view, I've done several shows. I've done a show at Many Bar, and tying this one to the theme of this upcoming season, of which this episode is part, and calling it every kind of people. So for me, it's always important. It's very, very important right now in the times that we're living in. And I just decided, like, this show, I mean, I feel like all the work I do, but especially this show, is just like flying in the face of all the messiness around us. And so and it's just like, we're coming out, we're creating, we're being in community. Anyway, do you want to talk about your part in it, or just?
Yeah, I'm really excited because the theme really got to me. I pulled out some work from my archive where I had people. I don't traditionally do people, but on closer look, I do have people in my work, and they are every kinds of people. And one of the paintings that I'm showing in this show is of my friend Ashkan on Ocean Avenue, right outside Plymouth and Ocean, which is right by Ocean Ale House. And he was one of my first friends in the neighborhood, and he was the best kind of people that I know. And
Nice.
the other piece that I have in the show is of a taxi going down a famous boulevard in Mumbai, where you see a blurry taxi going by, but you see these two figures sitting on a raised edge sidewalk, and one's on their phone and one's writing something. And to me, that's such a Mumbai feeling, where you're in such a large city, but you probably don't have you don't have the space to bring your loved one close by because of family members or what people will say. But in this large city, no one probably knows you in this environment, so you can be like it is your living room. You can see their bags thrown around and their slippers laying around as if it is their living room. And that feeling to me has always been there. But when I went back to Mumbai a couple years ago, I caught this moment and feeling, and it has always moved me. I've done a couple renditions of the same image before that I've sold, and then I printed this larger and really wanted to find a venue for it. And this seems like a very appropriate one.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay, well, we've been talking with Shrey. Thank you for being on the show. Anything else you want to plug? Maybe your socials or anything else that you have coming up, like mid September or later?
Yeah, one thing that we didn't talk about is Ingleside Gallery, even though it had a physical space, a storefront, running a storefront in San Francisco is super extremely hard. Now it runs out of Ballast Coffee in West Portal. I have an amazing show of artists right there. She's going to be having open studios on September 20th and 21st. And I have shows that I curate at People's Barber on Polk Street. That show is going to be running through September and October. You can find more programming on my Instagram, Shrey Purohit, my first name and last name, or Ingleside Gallery.
That was Shrey Purohit. We recorded this episode at Root Division in South of Market. Check back tomorrow for a bonus episode with David Gonzalez, the creator of Homies and this year's Grand Marshal at the San Francisco Lowrider Parade in the Mission, which is this Saturday, September 20th. That bonus episode will be available for you tomorrow wherever you get podcasts. Music for Storied San Francisco was produced, performed, and curated by Otis McDonald. Our contributing producer is Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast, and the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in our 8th season, we have more than 280 episodes available on our website, storiedsf.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If possible, please rate and review the show. I want to know what you think. Sign up for our monthly newsletter on the About page of our website, and follow us on Instagram and Threads at storiedsf. Reach us there or email us at storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Try to stay hopeful in these dark times. Keep being wacky, creative, and kind out there. And we'll see you next time on Storied San Francisco. We acknowledge and respect the first humans of the unceded land we call San Francisco, the Ramaytush Ohlone. We condemn the genocide of these and other tribes across the Western Hemisphere. We honor their legacy and history, and we support rematriation and sovereignty efforts.